Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I'm ready. Oh.
I'll be quick, 1 second.
Okay.
Testing. I'm just testing my mic because I can see that little screen
Hey
there.
Dave. Hey, listen, I'll give you a call. I'm in some filming at the moment for some videos we're doing, so I'll give you a call. No, listen to me. No, listen. Just listen. Listen. Don't talk. I'll call you, because I know you're about to plan to telling me 40 did 7,000 things. I'll call you once I've finished here. Alright, now it's 4:45. We've got time, right? So in a couple of hours. Yeah, okay. Thanks. Okay, bye. Even though I say,
This is your David.
yeah, even though I say, hey, I'm calling, he doesn't hear anything you say. And he's about to embark on telling me a million things. So I have to say, David, stop, don't talk. I know it sounds like I'm talking to a child, but you have to go, don't talk. Otherwise he'll just embark on mental.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All
I love
right.
him. He's coming to Chicago too.
he is.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Oh, that's fun for him.
It'll be fun for all of us watching him.
Okay, so, Scott, are you happy with your posture? No, I think you need to sit up a little bit. Yeah, that's better.
I'm not looking slumped, am I?
No, you look
I slouch
very-
naturally.
You look very professional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're both looking gorgeous. All right, so why don't we start with the nice, easy stuff? Who is Scott Everest? Why did you start? Bit of a story. Why is it better? Who is it good for? What does it do? How does it work? And then I have a call to action. Maybe we can get you to talk to camera.
So repeat that again. Ask about
Who is Scott
who is Scott?
Everest?
Who is that? What did,
Yeah. Why did you start? Why is it better? I guess what you're going to be doing is probing. This is like an organic kind of conversation
Yeah.
around getting to know
Rather than
Everest.
this is not a brochure.
Correct. Yeah. Exactly.
Otherwise, which is why otherwise we'd be like da da da.
Who is Everest?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe just kick off with something.
do we talk about how we know each other? How we met?
Sure. Yeah, do that because we
but
can
no-
edit that out.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it'll help
'Cause
with the getting into it.
Yeah, because I actually
Yeah.
don't think you don't want to talk about.
Oh, I don't mean the RMS Tech side,
Yeah.
just how we found your services now.
Yeah.
Okay.
About the current, how we found this current phase. Don't talk about, obviously, the RMS Tech phase, yeah. Yeah, that's fast, yeah.
We can edit anything out as well. So if it feels more comfortable to just kick off with how was your weekend, like go and then launch into a kind of convo.
Yeah.
Whatever you
And the purpose of this is not for me to give any background of ourselves, just to be asking Scott, that's it?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
This is an Everest gig.
Okay, set of videos, okay.
That you'll use.
Yeah, and you can use them too if you want to.
Yeah, okay. We have got pretty professionally set up.
Looks fantastic.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so are we rolling?
Yeah, I'm already recording.
Oh, we're already recording, okay.
And Sharon, when are we talking? Where should we look? Should I look at Nick when I answer? Should I look at the camera?
I
What's
think
the
we're
protocol?
talking to each other.
Okay.
So, yeah, we don't want to look at camera.
Okay.
We're not going to look at camera, are we?
No.
Yeah, we'll be looking at Scott, okay. Well, that's what we want, conversational stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll just begin.
Okay.
Okay. So, good morning. Welcome, Scott. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, we were going to be talking today about Everest, and it's intriguing to find out more about what Everest does and your background with Everest. Could you tell us more about your background?
Okay, so in the context of Everest, the story probably starts back 20 years ago when I started Avante. It's an IT company that I had up until 18 months ago. And I suppose in having that IT business, it gave me an insight into technology. And as technology changed, as the cloud started to become more prominent in 2013, 2014, we took a view that starting a cloud company would be something that would be beneficial for our clients, given the market and where it was heading. And in around 2016, 2017, we did start Everest. Initially, that was started in the UK. We launched there. It was focused around our healthcare requirements. So things like data sovereignty, security, and giving clients a solution that we would design around their needs that was managed. It was really important. And obviously we had the public cloud vendors at the time was still had the offering similar to today, but a little bit more basic than they were now. And really it left clients, to move to the public cloud, there was quite a task there. They had to have skilled services to take them there, and then there was an element of management to manage it. And so we, in essence, thought that it really wasn't a significant change from having their servers on premise. It was really just a change of location. So we wanted to approach it differently with our Everest Private Cloud. We would manage the migration, we'd manage the service, we'd manage the base operating system, the patching, the basic security, we'd manage the network. And the network is an element where I think there is complexity with some clients depending on their business and the types of disaster recovery sites they have and the number of locations. So in a nutshell, we're providing a very concierged service, whereas the public cloud is a more basic DIY service. So it's the Bunnings type scenario, whereas we're managed. So it's a long answer to a short question, but yeah, so we saw that there was an opening in the market for that. We launched in the UK, and then we quickly launched in Australia, and we had significant success and continue to, in both regions. And we've now started to provide services in North America and Canada, and other markets that are growing are New Zealand and also Singapore.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And it seems that in a world where we have many different cloud options, from public cloud, data center hosting, and private cloud, and your product, your solution fits into a particular category you find best?
Yeah, so I was going to say it's an interesting point. And, if we think about the cloud, there's the public cloud vendors, so the usual suspects: Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and a couple of others. Oracle have got a solution, IBM have a solution. And then you've got smaller private cloud vendors like ourselves, but they're more localized often.
Yeah.
Not so often are they global. Then you've got the data center companies themselves providing an infrastructure service, which is similar to cloud. You've got telcos and ISPs offering a cloud type service. And then you've got customers themselves who get their own data center and have their own virtualized service, which in essence is like their own cloud.
Yeah.
So we think in the market where we are in terms of that private cloud, managed, global, service-centric, we think we don't have a lot of competition in that space in terms of like for like. Our competitors really are the public cloud vendors and on-prem.
And on-premise IT scenarios, yeah.
So when we're talking about business cases where clients will often say, well, what is the cost compared to public cloud, or what is the cost compared to staying on-prem?
Yeah. And obviously, when it comes to the IT reseller space, they have a lot of options that they consider themselves when providing cloud options to their clients, and their clients trust them to provide the most appropriate fit. For resellers who are involved in the managed services space, what would you say is the best advantage for them choosing Everest over other cloud options?
Well, given my vast experience having had an MSP, I think the services that would resonate with them that Everest provides is that we provide a simple platform in which to get their clients onto the cloud. We'll manage the process to get them to that point. We'll manage the actual deployment, and then we'll manage the cloud itself. So I think in a time now where resources are expensive, finding people is difficult. So
especially since post-pandemic.
Exactly, and I think MSPs are not immune to that. And I suppose we're talking about a certain size. I think very large MSPs will have invested significant money and resources in having their own teams of people,
of course,
focused on Google and AWS and Azure. this is probably not targeted around their needs, although obviously there's a conversation, but it's more that mid to small market where there's smaller MSPs who, I think they'll have maybe one or two people doing cloud, and we can augment that and provide them with the resources and capability to, it won't be a limiting factor, the personnel. So we can help them get their clients to the cloud simply and easily.
So I'm assuming that means also fast scaling up, being a cloud product, the scale and the expertise and the support.
Yeah, the scale, the expertise, the support, and the design, and also providing those leading edge technologies like things like the NVIDIA GPU platform we're seeing is gaining in traction. And I think we're seeing that market changing now with the deployment of high quality workstation solutions using that technology, and also AI, using AI platforms. They need GPU as well as part of that.
So you've touched on an area which I can see is very prevalent in architectural firms and medical, in terms of radiology, medical imaging. They all use the 3D distributed rendering on their platforms. And tell us more about how Everest solves the cost equation for workstations, for instance, that are quite expensive in those areas.
It's cost and also flexibility. So we can deliver down that workstation solution with 4K type images using NVIDIA's GPU product. And it obviously then it means for, when we take a step back and we think, well, the challenge for businesses that have, especially in this post-pandemic world, maybe a distributed workforce, then they've got to have expensive workstations perhaps in people's homes, or they've got to move them from the office to the home. And this requires logistical support and management. With our product, you can have that solution no matter where they are on any device. So it's obviously not mainstream, but in certain markets and niches, it's valuable.
And I'm guessing that the support requirement from a cloud version of that 3D rendering model, where they need powerful workstations on premise, that's taken away from a cloud distributed model.
That's right. Yeah,
so there's less support
exactly.
required.
Which reduces the cost.
Yeah.
Okay. And then especially if we look at the medical imaging space, if they've got multiple radiologists and doctors at different locations globally, it's very easy for us to deploy that technology. With teleradiology, and even for doctors in remote areas, getting workstations to them is one thing. But then if there's support for them, that's complex and and parts and things like that. So reducing that complexity on site makes for a better solution.
Fantastic. In the medical area that you've just talked about, my understanding is you've had a strong historical background with medical. Would you like to tell us more about that and how that transcends into Everest?
With the IT business that I had, we had a great deal of experience within general healthcare and also within radiology. And that knowledge that I built up over the years allowed us to pivot the cloud into healthcare very quickly, very easily. And we could use that knowledge to the benefit in terms of that design. So, I think also I had a radiology business for 6 or 7 years in the UK, and having that allowed me also to understand some of the nuances within radiology and diagnostics. So the UK was the first market for us for Everest. We had very strong ties to the NHS, and it allowed us to provide services to them almost immediately.
Have you found that the Everest product for medical, you've obviously had some successes with Canada Health and other radiology practices worldwide, as well as the NHS that you've mentioned. What's been the biggest determining factor by these organisations when they've looked at other public cloud options versus Everest?
Look, I think it's probably multifaceted, but certainly things like data sovereignty have been key, and the ability to build and design the solution to suit the client's needs exactly. I know that when we were designing the solution for the Australian Defence Force, they had a very stringent list of requirements, and I don't see how a public vendor would be able to meet that. It was a complex process to get us to that point. So I think that flexibility and customization, I think, is really key.
Okay. One of the things I've noticed about the cloud, the public cloud space, is that obviously you've got to formulate your own solution if you're an end user, a business, and you want to put together a solution. Your IT company has to put together that solution through their calculators for public cloud hosting and costs. I also noticed that you have to essentially bring your own IT department to actually maintain and ongoing monitor and support that infrastructure, that platform. How's Everest different in that regard?
So the public cloud vendors have a bottom-up approach. So their go-to-market strategy is very much centered around, focused on the IT engineer.
Yeah.
So their approach, they're targeting engineers to become qualified in terms of being a cloud engineer, and obviously then they can support that cloud platform, because obviously it's actually complex just to build a quote and to price up and design a system within Azure and AWS. So there's courses around that, and then the work required to actually support a customer and migrate them across, it's complex.
The migration project.
Yeah. So our approach is completely different. It's a managed solution. So we'll do the migration for the client. We'll project manage it. We'll interface with their existing IT resources and their partners to make sure that the solution fits. We'll also, unlike, if you price something up within the public cloud, the calculator, it is what it is. No one's looking going, oh, hang on, Nick, that doesn't look right. Maybe have you thought about this or thought about that? We'll work with you in a consultative approach in terms of getting that solution spot on, making sure it's working for you, and we're part of the process and we want to be a partner. So.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think of the next questions now. How's that so far, Sharon?
It's really good.
Yeah.
Is
I'm
the
just
more to
thinking about coffee
say?
at the moment.
Oh, I was.
Oh.
No,
I
it's
was
not your
gonna-
fault, Sharon. Nick promised it. I was getting angry on the interview then. I was about to...
I saw
I'll
that
get
slight
that
tinge of
sorted.
anger on your
Would
face.
it be worthwhile? Can you go deeper on the governance thing in the ISO to 27001
Yeah,
and
we've
talk a
got-
bit about that?
I'll talk about it. We're just about to engage. We're starting the process of SOC compliance in the US. It'd be great for you guys too, especially in Chicago. People are going to go, "Do you have SOC compliance?" You'd be like, "We're just getting it now."
When you say SOC compliance, you mean?
100 grand.
Okay.
Sorry.
Milo, get out.
So you're talking about Security Operations Center compliance when you say SOC compliance?
No, Sarbanes-Oxley.
Sub.
Sarbanes-Oxley.
Okay.
No?
I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, it's the compliance.
Okay. I was thinking of Security Operations Center like SOC compliance.
So something like one of the things that makes, Nick, you can lead in with this question if you like. One of the things that makes Everest different to other private cloud offerings is the level of, is it security and compliance or governance and compliance or something like that?
I can just talk about security and compliance and let Scott elaborate on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good.
We've gone halfway into resellers and then medical. Does that?
We want to keep going?
We could keep going. Oh, wait till the coffee's.
Yes, okay.
So,
So Sarbanes-Oxley is an act that the US federal government passed
yeah.
to manage how financial records were kept and processes within corporations.
For medical or
Everything.
for everything?
So SOX compliance,
SOC.
SOX,
SOX.
SOX,
What does the X stand for?
Oxley,
Oxley.
Sarbanes-Oxley, so SOX.
SOX. Okay.
S and then the O.
Okay. Okay. All right.
You can do some reading on it. It'll be really important in Chicago.
All right. Okay.
To the point where the other one is HIPAA,
HIPAA, which I'm familiar with. Yeah.
HIPPA.
Yeah. And they're the standards that we abide by here in terms of medical record handling.
Yeah, even though they're not mandated here, but they're using. Yeah.
But the HIPAA is a US standard, is it originally? Okay.
Equinix is HIPAA. We're not HIPAA.
Okay.
Directly.
And SOX has just become an add-on layer.
Long time.
Oh, it's been a long time. Okay.
It's the same as ISO 27001. US doesn't have ISO.
I see.
The
Okay.
US doesn't recognise ISO.
It doesn't. Okay.
It's a European standard.
But SOX is the equivalent of an
That's
ISO
right.
27001
That's
standard.
right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. And so if they don't have ISO 27, did you guys have ISO 27001 standard?
We do.
Everest, yeah.
So we're
And now you're getting the equivalent accreditation SOX.
we had a client the other day. They wanted the certificate.
And that will open up doors to other deals in government,
In the
corporate,
US.
in the US. Oh, okay.
Why don't we could actually have 2 cups?
It looks like a Guinness or something.
Whether that would work. Do you want a coffee too?
Thanks, it's very civilised.
I'll have one from
I can't tell how that looks. I think that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, Siobhan. And then,
Thanks.
I'll just have a glass of water, Sharon,
okay.
because I had a coffee. I had a double strength coffee before.
That looks like a beast. Thanks, Joe.
They're nice coffees.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sharon.
Did you say you're having a coffee?
No, I just have
Okay.
because I had a double coffee before. So what I was asking before was,
Do we want to record this? stuff?
Yeah.
We're recording anyway.
and you're just going to chop them up.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was asking before. This is not a question, but we've gone between medical and resellers. Does that matter?
No.
Okay.
No, because again, we can chop it and
Yeah.
I'm imagining these as little snippets.
Snippets. So
on
there'll be
the
a medical
website,
question.
Like medical question.
And
like,
you'll put that
how
on
is,
the
How is
website.
this different? How is that
Yeah.
different? I'm actually thinking, Scott, that I won't put that there
No, take it away.
because it will look a bit funny
Yeah.
in the sniping, in the snipping, whatever.
Yes.
It'll look weird.
I
And I'll
will
take
question. I will question without telling them about my background. I will question about the challenge of Microsoft eating MSP's lunch when it comes to revenue, customer management.
While Scott's having his coffee, why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
So tell me about. Oh, the dry cleaning tag's still on there.
I do that all the time.
The dry cleaning tags.
Tell me about. Yeah, yeah,
Actually, I need my water, Sharon. Is it up here?
yeah. It's alright to take a little break.
Yeah, take
It's
a
not
little
to
break from
do,
it.
like-
Take a little break and compose ourselves.
Yeah, have coffee.
Do you want to make a couple of notes, just the things you want to talk about for a second?
Well, I'm thinking it through at the moment. So I'm just thinking through the reseller questions we've asked already. We've already asked why would resellers choose Everest over public cloud?
Let's talk about that. So, I did a presentation to Dicker Data, right?
Yeah.
Because I said, oh, hey, Dicker, you should sell cloud. And they came back and said, no, they wouldn't. I said, why? Because they have Azure.
We've
They
got
said
that
they don't sell-
relationship.
Yeah, Microsoft. And they don't want to F with that. But it's funny though, because it makes me laugh because they're selling interactive maintenance. You know,
Yeah,
interactive,
they are interactive. I just got a
And it
quote from.
competes with HP and IBM maintenance.
Yeah.
So interactive maintenance is really, it's in a similar space to what we're talking about. Obviously, it's
Yeah, they've got cloud offerings too. I just noticed. Just when I got.
Yeah.
They're talking about their cloud.
those guys
offerings.
are nonsense. I knew those guys back in the day. I gave them lists. I told them how to do sales. So no one to be threatened by.
So we've talked already about resellers and why they would choose Everest over public cloud. And I think you answered. You talked about. We just haven't talked about the challenges they're facing. I think that's what
No.
I want to. I
I
want to
think-
encroach on that
And I
topic.
think let's just talk about the benefit to the resellers. So it's more than just, oh hey, you can sell public cloud or you can sell private cloud. With public cloud, there's a very deep understanding that the public cloud vendors get of the client. The MSP is literally an agent in that process, nothing more. And often they only get a commission. Billing actually goes out from the public cloud vendors, not from the MSP.
Yeah.
And they get a commission or
Mhm.
whatever kickback. We're talking about a white labeled cloud service that they will invoice and they'll be responsible for. And it just means that it makes the client stickier,
Yeah.
makes it harder for them to leave.
So I could lead in with that about the current situation first. We know that in the current situation with resellers, with MSPs, Microsoft.
I just think be careful with the Microsoft and
Yeah.
saying they're trying to eat resellers.
Yeah, well, that's a bit dramatic.
just I suppose
Just talk about our benefits, not shoot them down.
because it'd be really easy to go to town on articles about AWS and security and and that AWS in a statement they made they wouldn't want the user experience to suffer because of security. It's crazy thing to say.
Yeah.
Imagine that, imagine a bank saying that. Yeah, there's no locks, you want people to come and go whenever they want, that wouldn't make for good,
Good experience.
no, so I think, we're,
I'm also remembering that with all the recent hacks that have happened, so we're going to talk about cybersecurity aspects of Everest, considering Woolworths, Medibank Private, Optus.
I think these things have been happening and no one's been saying anything.
Yeah, and now they're just coming out. There's more transparency now.
Well, now everyone's like, well, we better say.
We better say what's going on.
Well, don't they have to as
They
well?
do have to,
Yeah.
but it's hard to report. We had a
But it's
client-
worth throwing this question towards you, isn't it? As with all the cybersecurity incidents happening in around Australia at the moment, with Optus, Medibank Private, NAB, and so forth. How's Everest approaching that?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different aspects to this. Obviously, you have a server that sits on the public internet.
Oh, let me ask it again then. Sorry, we'll film again. Sorry, because I rushed my question.
I thought you did really good. But
No, I just talked too fast.
No,
But
yeah.
I was sort of earmarking that I was going to ask that question. But all right, now I'm ready to ask it.
Go.
We'll go with that one first. So Scott, we've noticed in the Australian landscape, there have been quite a few cybersecurity incidents that have happened. Most recently, Optus, National Australia Bank, Medibank Private, Woolworths, and they've all had leaking of customer records. So these have been true cybersecurity concerns on how they handle their IT. How does Everest address the cybersecurity concerns of the market when they're with your offering?
Okay, well, I'll preface what I'm about to say by saying that just because you're on Everest doesn't mean you're immune to cybersecurity threats. It doesn't mean that your data can't be taken. But I think if we have a look at the structure and the nature of public cloud, there's a lot more exposure in those environments. Firstly, the data can be in a variety of locations. It's hard to understand where it is. So data sovereignty is a challenge. And then who has access and what sort of access do they have to that data? There have been questions raised that in some of the large public cloud vendors who employ hundreds of thousands of people, it will be very easy for those breaches of security to happen from within. So I suppose, we're a very small business compared to the public cloud vendors. So it's easy for us to exercise absolute control and security around that data. We can have services and solutions in specific locations and on specific hosts. We can control who has access to it. There's a greater level of control, and just the nature of, you have a small one-bedroom apartment, it's very easy to secure it. You have 1,000 apartments, a lot harder to secure them. So the nature of our cloud is that it's small, it's designed around the customer's needs, and we design the security around it accordingly. So I think it's that customization, and we also allow the customers to add their own layers of security, and we advise them on those as well.
So also with the when it comes to standards for data handling and records, there's obviously many different standards that businesses have when it comes to cloud options. What standards does Everest adhere to for the different spaces that you
Well, we have a
host?
range of security standards. The key ones are obviously ISO 27001.
Okay.
There's a couple of newer ISOs which we're just obtaining at the moment. There's Sarbanes-Oxley, so SOX for the US,
Okay.
which we're in the process of getting.
And that is the equivalent of ISO 27001 in
Yep.
the US.
And then obviously in terms of data handling, GDPR
Mhm.
in the UK. So anything that touches the UK or Europe needs to be GDPR compliant. So, and there's a range of IT certification that we have around security as well.
And in Australian medical, you have HIPAA, of course.
Yeah, there's HIPAA as well, which and we achieve that with using the data centers that we do.
Okay.
And there's also the level of data centers and the security they have as well. So.
With the public cloud vendors who provide similar solutions and similar standards, you obviously have at Everest, you have a major unique selling point over the public cloud features, all things being considered as far as they have the security standards, you have the security standards. What's one of the key to
I think it's one word,
one word,
service.
service, yeah?
And I think for those customers that means a lot to, then it's an easy sell. I think for the people who they want service, and then this comes down to the complexity of those organisations. A challenge we often have, especially in Australia here, is a lot of IT departments. There's been a lot of time and effort that's spent building that capability, and when we come in and say that we can take away a lot of that complexity and make it simpler, often the IT departments is resistance to that change.
Yeah.
So I think they've got a lot of costs embedded in those IT departments. So pulling that back can be tricky. So, but I think service is number one. So we'll hold the customer's hands and the reseller's hand to get those clients right through that quoting, proposal, overcome those objections, get it signed, project plan to get them migrate it through, get it so it's tested, done, working, and so it becomes just day to day.
Yes.
So we'll work with the customers right through the process. And I think you're not getting that with the public clouds.
Fantastic. With Modern Cloud that we have as a business, we've enthusiastically worked together with you to actually embrace the reseller model. And as a master reseller, we're looking forward to helping resellers discover that extra dimension of revenue that they can make from the private cloud and with the extra services that come from your team. What can resellers also look forward to in terms of protection that they otherwise wouldn't have from other large vendors in terms of customer acquisition and customer retention?
Yeah, well, I suppose firstly we're talking about a service that the reseller will be billing directly to the client.
Yeah.
So it means that they own that client relationship. Everest is not marketing to the customer directly. We're not promoting our services to them. There's not the ability for the client to move the service to another reseller. It's really bound to that reseller. So I think it gives them security on the business that they're selling, whereas we all know with things like Office 365 and Azure and AWS, it's very easy to move these services from reseller to reseller. And
Especially with direct billing that they do.
Exactly, the public cloud vendors, they absolutely want that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they are focused on delivering that service between public cloud and the client. The MSP is merely an agent in the process.
Yeah.
So we're looking that our client is actually the MSP, not the end client. So I think that's a fundamental change.
That's great. That makes a big difference to the peace of mind of a reseller in that long-term relationship, and
Absolutely.
how sticky, I guess, it is for the relationship between the client and the MSP.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really about that revenue that we can bring and leverage that. I think this is where I think we're going to, we need to understand that the proposition from the public cloud vendors is that they're approaching the engineers with the enticement that a move to be an engineer with the public cloud vendors, supporting them, is a career enhancing move. And this is the barrier we see, that those engineers, obviously, our proposition is, hey, you don't need to be an engineer, you don't need to have these complex teams of engineers, you don't have to invest great money in training them, we'll do it for you and work with you. So I think it certainly suits a part of the market.
You've actually touched on a topic, I know from our own experience, where we've had a background as an MSP. We're now, fully embracing the private cloud model and how we actually market that to future customers. The biggest struggle we've had in the past, and I can still see it with a lot of MSPs nowadays, is retaining and finding good technical staff. So with that model, any customer acquisitions they make, the MSP, they wouldn't have to worry about resourcing up as far as engineers and so forth to keep up with their revenue increase and sales as they increase their sales. How does that work with Everest in terms of keeping up?
Well, to that point, traditional model with MSPs is there's, it's these steps where, you obviously want to sell, and then as you do, you have another engineer, and there's these steps you go up to build your revenue models. Whereas with the private cloud, unlike public cloud, you don't need to resource up to be able to support that, manage it, and migrate to it.
Yeah.
With our solution, we'll work with you, so there is no limit to that increase in revenue.
So a big part of that, I know, again, as an MSP, in the technical sales process of putting solutions together to prospective clients is the solution architecture and the whole design of the solution in the first place. How does Everest help in that regard, to actually get that across the line for a customer solution?
So we'll work with you and we'll help design and architect the solution for the reseller, with the reseller.
And that's a close liaison process between
I think
yourselves
that's really powerful as well, and it means that the reseller, if they don't have highly technical people who've done this or are doing this, then they don't need to. We'll do it for them and we'll work with them.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That sounds like a very clear benefit compared to other public cloud options, where you have to bring your own IT, I guess.
I think that's exactly it. And, as a basic analogy, it's a chauffeur-driven car versus a rental car.
Yeah,
We'll drive it for you. You just need to jump in and tell us where to go.
absolutely. And I can't help but think that there's other benefits to an Everest cloud solution for prospective clients that are wanting to expand into other regions beyond just Australia or beyond the UK. They want to go to other regions. Where does Everest fit into that model as far as hosting in other regions, multiple regions?
Yeah, so we obviously have a reasonable footprint across Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, the US, Canada, UK. We're now moving to Germany and the Netherlands, and we're obviously always looking at different locations. But for new territories, we have a commitment that we can have clients up and running in 6 to 8 weeks.
Wow, that is a very quick time frame. And this is a fully projected time frame.
Complete.
Yeah, from solution design to testing to go live. Yeah, that's fantastic. And what is a typical contract length for a customer who engages in this?
Anywhere between 3 and 5 years.
3 and 5
Yeah,
years.
so for the resellers, it means that there's a decent tenure
Yep.
of income. And for the customer also, it gives them price surety in this day and age where power charges and there's all sorts of fluctuations in costs and supply chain is complex.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about any of that.
Fantastic. And that actually makes me want to ask about one of the key issues, which is cost. I noticed that with public cloud vendors, one of the largest gripes that are had by customers is that of the lack of fixed cost per month, and how data excess and CPU excess usage
Changes.
can cause that bill to sometimes double or triple in busy months. How does Everest differ from that in terms of public clouds?
So we fix the price for the life of the contract.
Completely fixed?
Completely.
Wow.
No charges for data in or out.
That's
We
a
fix
great
the
benefit.
bandwidth, so we'll give them dedicated access,
Yeah.
unlimited.
So what happens if they have busy months where they've got a lot of data usage or a lot of CPU usage on their servers?
So they'll run it up. We'll even let them flex above
Mhm.
their thresholds, but at no cost.
That must mean, I guess, that you properly scope out the potential requirements of that server hosting to begin with, to allow for that 3 to 5 year term.
We do.
Yeah. So the scoping is very important, obviously.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we also have scale and flexibility that we've always got excess capacity. We run about 55 to 60% utilised at any one
Okay.
time.
So when it comes to that cost question, what would a reseller, an MSP, expect in terms of a cost difference on average, or a total cost of IT, ownership of public cloud versus Everest Cloud?
I think we're looking at total costs. It's 30 to 35% less.
Less expensive
Mhm.
over the lifetime of that contract.
Yes.
Yep. And that, I guess, is a significant revenue opportunity for the reseller to actually, have their own price that they want to feel comfortable in providing back to their end user, their
It
client.
is. And also it's a saving in resources for them as well. So there's
Yeah.
revenue and also resource saving.
So there's a resource saving in terms of costs, and there's the concierge of services that they otherwise wouldn't have, and they'd have to bring their own IT department,
Exactly.
or resource up in their own business.
And even things like DR and that business continuity piece, we can help them design those solutions for the client and facilitate that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just thinking of other questions now.
That was good.
Was that good?
Yeah, it was really good.
You happy with this so far, Scott?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Break while I drink my coffee.
Yeah, let's have a break.
Yeah,
Check my
I
email for a
might
second.
actually just,
Suggest other questions to me that I might need to ask.
we might, I'll just check in. I'm just going to change the angle here. That's better. I might just check in and see. Like, I feel like in my head we've ticked what I was
Tick the
thinking.
boxes about
We've
car.
got some good content so far, right?
Yeah, really good. Who is Everest? Why did you start? Yeah, we covered that.
Is it coming across as
I
natural
think
on the
the
camera?
story, it is now.
It
Yeah,
is, okay.
Yeah. The beginning was a bit.
Okay. I'm consciously trying to put more of my friendly energy into it instead of feeling
Yeah.
nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah, no need to be nervous.
I
It's good.
Yeah,
think it
just the
might be, I don't know about.
Do you want to talk about something market specific, like the US, North America? Can you use some of these sound bites
Yeah,
with
100%.
with Chicago and that?
Yeah.
Markets mean
Yeah,
actual case studies.
No, like why are you going to RSNA? What's the benefit there? You know, do you want to talk about some
Yeah,
of that
let's
stuff?
definitely talk about that.
RSNA.
Yeah, actually, it wasn't on my original list because I didn't know we were going.
That's true, because
What
we can
about
put
the-
those up
And
on
you're
our
not
website.
going because you got to run stuff here, right?
Yeah.
Keep the shit show going.
The shit show, yeah.
It's true though, right?
It's
I mean,
true.
no offensive way, but yeah.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. We're not exactly driven to wake up every morning feeling excited about the world with managed services.
The future is looking bright though.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Do you feel like we got enough of the Everest story, like why we started? I feel like it was a bit.
Gotcha. We'll do some more of that.
We can
Yeah,
start
I
that
think
again.
now that
Yeah,
you've relaxed a bit.
Yeah, I've relaxed now, and I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually want to introduce myself as Nicholas from Modern Cloud, which I didn't even do at the
Okay.
beginning.
I'm sorry, I'm not
Yeah.
being different. I'm just
No,
being
that's
this
okay.
way.
That's okay. No problem.
Yeah. Well, if you want to do that, you should probably look into that camera and speak to that camera.
That camera.
If you're going to introduce yourself. And I'm
Okay.
here with Scott from Everest. Yeah.
But where's it getting that audio from there? Oh, it's getting. You're going to use that audio track.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I don't mind. I can look there. It's okay.
No.
No?
Or do both.
There's only one producer, right?
Thank
I'm
you,
just
Scott.
saying.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Do it both. So do it this one first.
Okay, so we're doing an intro about Nicholas from Modern Cloud. Today I have with me Scott from Everest.
I'll give you the Everest story without the.
A
Subjugated
preferred partner
views.
situation, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was thinking we could do a shorter version so we have less than a 2
Well,
minute.
we can do a couple of versions. We can just
Because
go
a
around.
2 minutes, short attention spans, people.
Yeah.
Less than a
Right.
2 minute total
Well, I
video.
was going to say we should be 30-second intro to Everest. We should be done. Like it should be short and sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so we'll give that a try now. Oh, actually, you ready now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So do an intro to that camera,
Mm-hmm.
then do an intro to this camera and keep talking. Make sense?
No.
Do two intros. One to this, one to that.
Yeah.
And just roll with the whole thing. Do an intro. I won't say anything. Then you
Yeah.
do another intro.
All right. I'm just going to do what I have to keep it conversational style. I can't snip it in my own brain like that. That's
No,
okay.
just do two
Just
intros.
do two intros. So just do an intro right there.
Yeah, but my intro was interactive with Scott. That's what I'm saying.
No, I won't say anything.
Oh, okay. You mean intro as in who I am?
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
All
Just
right. Let me
hi,
give
I'm
it a try.
Nick from Modern Cloud, and I'm here with Everest. Scott, really excited.
Scott, CEO and founder
CEO and founder of
Yeah.
Everest.
Of
So you're
Everest.
starting?
Everest Secure Cloud or Everest?
No, just Everest.
Everest.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Nicholas from Modern Cloud. Today we have a special guest, Scott Crawford from Everest, and we're going to be talking about why Everest is a great option compared to public cloud options. Yes?
Cool. Do it again.
Do it again.
Yeah.
To
More
there.
energy.
No, to here.
To there.
Yeah. And with more energy
And just a bit
then
more
you're gonna
relaxed.
Keep
And
talking.
you don't need to use my last name.
Oh, not your last name. Okay.
I don't think
Right.
so.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Hi, it's Nicholas from Modern Cloud. We're here today with a special guest, Scott from Everest, and we'll be talking about. What's that? What was the hand up for?
He said hello.
Oh, is that what it was? Sorry, I
Oh,
wasn't
you
looking.
fucked it now. Off you go.
Here we go.
Take two.
Hi, it's Nick from Modern Cloud. We're here today to be talking with Scott from Everest, our special guest, and we'll be talking about Everest and how it is a great solution for cloud hosting compared to some of the public cloud options out there.
So yeah.
The other camera. You want me to do that camera too?
No, you've done that one.
Yeah.
All right? You're okay with that one?
Yeah, I'm okay with that one. So do that again. You're just gonna keep talking.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
We've rolled into it.
All right, so I'll do it again.
Yeah.
Okay, brother. Hi, it's Nicholas from Modern Cloud. We have a special guest here today, Scott from Everest, and thank you, Scott, for being here today.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
We're going to be talking about why Everest compared to public cloud.
So why don't we start with the story? Tell us how Everest started.
So, Scott, please tell us about Everest and how it all started.
Okay, well, Everest has been going for around about 6 years, and the initial vision was...
Sorry, you're going to have to do that again because you moved and I didn't see.
Sorry.
So, ask your question again, please, Nick.
I'll do it in one run. Again,
Sorry, do you want me to move this cup as well?
No, it's fine actually. You can't see it.
Okay,
It's
sorry,
right out of
I'm going to
the
suck
page.
something out of it. Go next time.
Sharon, just the temperature on the, do you mind putting it, I think you've got it on 24, 25. Do you mind putting the temperature on the thing? Because these lights are also quite warm.
You're getting a bit hot, big fella.
Yeah, because I've got my jacket on
I see that.
and I'm feeling the pressure.
Okay, I can see that. There's a bit of nerves there.
Yeah, it's raising my
Especially when I
body
was like crying,
temperature.
you're like, what are you
Exactly.
doing?
I thought, what's that wave? It was like a stop. I didn't
Is
approve.
it not? It's not on at all. Do you want
Can you put it on 22
22?
and
Done.
cooling?
In cooling, all right.
Yeah. Or put 21 and cooling actually.
Yeah, it's on cool. 21 and cool.
All right, thank you. Much better.
All right, Scott's in frame and action.
Hello and welcome. It's Nicholas from Modern Cloud. Today we have a special guest. It's Scott from Everest. Hello, Scott.
Hi.
We'll be talking about why Everest versus public cloud and other options for hosting your business in the cloud. So, Scott, please tell us about how Everest came about and your background with Everest.
Well, I started Everest 6 years ago, and obviously I had an IT business at the time, and the vision was that I saw the need for a private managed cloud. So we based it on obviously our customers at the time, their requirements, and I could see that the cloud is one thing, but you need a strategy around what you're going to do in the cloud. You need a process to get there, how it's going to be managed, what the effect on your data, on applications, on security, on backups, on DR, and we thought it's a big piece. And at the moment, at the time it was being left to IT companies who didn't have great experience in that space. So we wanted to build a cloud business that specifically handled and managed that for customers without the need for them to do it themselves. So Everest was born, and the story of us started small, started in the UK with a small group of clients. We started doing work with the NHS also initially.
That's the National Health Service.
It is, yep, and that was based on, I've got a deep understanding of the health service there and a significant experience in that market. So we launched in the UK and quickly built our clients up there, and then launched in Australia. And we've now grown the footprint. We've got Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, the US, Canada, and UK and Europe. So in a nutshell, it's a managed service. It provides full migration services. We manage the patching and the support of the service for the customers. We provide really that concierge, so that's that consultative approach to the cloud. So you're not on your own as a customer or a reseller. We'll be there with you to support you in that journey. So it's 24/7 support. It's all bells and whistles for the customer.
I noticed that most IT providers have challenges with resourcing and having the proper engineers and retaining them. This is something obviously that they wouldn't need to worry about being with Everest.
Yeah, so that's something specifically we've built Everest to address, is that you don't need to have a significant resource requirement to migrate to Everest or manage Everest. Obviously you can do as little or as much as you want, and the idea is that this takes the burden off those MSPs, whereby they've got to have teams of people deeply experienced in cloud. And I think if anyone's seen employing and retaining these cloud engineers is becoming complex as well, and the market being what it is, it's expensive. So we want to make this a much more viable proposition whereby the MSP doesn't need to have complex engineers. They can migrate their customers to our cloud. We'll do it for them, with them, and they bill the client. I think they'll enjoy far greater levels of revenue and deeper profits.
So when it comes to IT resellers and MSPs that are considering Everest as an option for their business versus public cloud, we've talked about the resourcing and the engineers that they would normally have to keep up with. What about the addressing of the differences between public cloud in terms of the relationship with the client and how they maintain that relationship from a billing perspective and retention perspective? How is Everest different to dealing with Microsoft or Amazon?
Well, I think fundamentally, the reseller will be our customer.
Yep.
Whereas with the public cloud vendors, fundamentally the client, the reseller's client, is their client.
Yep.
They market, they speak to them directly, and it's very easy then for that client, if they move MSPs, they can easily move their cloud to another MSP. Whereas our service we're talking about is white labeled, that the MSP would bill, they control that relationship, and I think there's a lot of power in doing that.
Yeah.
Not giving away the clients.
I guess another one of the challenges, having had an MSP background myself in the past, we've embraced modern cloud and Everest as a business model for our business moving forward, because we've seen the writing on the wall as far as the managed services industry and how slowly but surely it's moving and migrating, transcending to a different business model of cloud expertise and cloud vendors.
Mm-hmm.
This has obviously been in the making for the last 10 years. But how fast do you think that acceleration progress is along in terms of the industry, the IT service industry, changing to one where the irrelevance of managed services in the internal IT versus needing to be in the cloud space for the future?
Yeah, look, I think it's obviously that acceleration's picking up, but I think what we're seeing is in the MSP space, we'll see there'll be very large multinationals in that space, and there'll be smaller, very niche players. I think if you're in between those two areas, then it will be tough out there in the market. So I think that is probably just reminds me of another point. By selling Everest also differentiates you from all the other MSPs. They're all selling Azure and AWS. We can give you a point of difference, and then you can pass on those benefits, around DR and backup and security and management. And I think these things are important to customers, and it doesn't mean you're having to reinvent the wheel and build your own NOC team. We give you all those services from the start.
And obviously with MSPs, there would be a sweet spot in terms of a size of a typical MSP that this would most appeal to. And I'm guessing that size is, from what I've been liaising with you on this, is somewhere between the 10 to 30 employee mark of IT service business.
Exactly. I think that's spot on.
Yeah. My feelings on that are that the smaller firms struggle with having cloud experts or data center experts with the high salaries that they expect. What access to what team would they have with Everest in terms of getting those projects out, delivered, designed, architectured, and so forth?
So with depending on where the reseller is located, whether it's in Australia, here, or the US or the UK, we'd give them access to a local team which would have support people and a solutions architect. We'd build out that, I suppose the journey for the reseller with their client would be, first of all, discovery, understanding what they need, then building out a solution, pricing it, and then if that goes ahead, then helping understand the project management of it, and then implementing that and working between all three parties.
So once the implementation has been done for that project, for that new client, how's the ongoing support work for the client in terms of the platform, the servers that have been hosted with Everest?
Yes, so we'll provide that basic patching and security, basic security, manage the VPNs for them, manage the network, help them with the server management. So really, depending on where that MSP is at in terms of their resourcing, we can flex up or down that service model to suit.
Okay. Have you had examples that you can talk of where the resource costs for a project going to Everest has a very clear reduction in cost for the end client? Are there examples you can talk about where
Yeah.
that has been a great win for Everest, for the client?
Yeah, we had a very large customer in Victoria in Australia. They were a large healthcare business with around 2,500 staff. They had a significant footprint, legacy footprint in terms of IT. They had 3 data centers, their own equipment, their own switches, network. It was a complex environment.
Did they have an internal IT department
They
in
had
terms of employees?
internal, and they had significant change within that department. So there was knowledge that they were losing as people came and went. And then when we looked at it and we went through that discovery process, and then we identified that there was significant savings to be made, both in terms of security, network, just managing those servers and the data center. So we went about building out what that would look like, and then helping them build a business case to show the cost savings. And we were able to save around 48% on the
48%. Is this the total cost of ownership
total
of IT?
total cost of
IT?
ownership. Yeah, they were north of 2 million.
Wow.
per
So
year. And
where did that land in terms of total costs at the end of
it
the
was under $1 million.
under $1 million per year, and reduced from over 2 million?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
this
also it
is
means
all
that-
because of choosing Everest?
Yeah, and also means they don't have outages.
Yeah.
Like they have a simpler environment. It meant they didn't have complex equipment that they would own that they would need to
Yeah.
replace. And then fundamentally it meant that they,
So this was all an operational expense, I guess,
Mm.
for them?
Yeah,
A
so they
subscription
don't
of
have-
sorts?
they don't have a lot of complex capital
Yeah.
that they purchased, which means they're not responsible for that.
Yeah.
We're responsible for delivering a service to them.
It's very compelling to have a subscription equivalent pricing to pay per month, as opposed to a large project to move that sort of client environment and reduce their costs.
And it's ongoing. It means that they don't have those bumps of disruption every 3 years or 5 years where they have to replace their equipment, and then they're subject to the woes of the market.
How does Everest help, do you feel, in keeping that relationship, for that particular example, that client, keeping it sticky in terms of their supplier? So in the case of, was there a reseller involved in that particular company, or was this an internal IT?
There was internal IT.
Internal IT.
But I suppose as their business grows and changes, they recognise the benefit of having us there to easily adjust that offering to suit, and adjusting the network and working with their, for example, they buy new businesses and new healthcare practices. It's very easy for us to add those in, add in new servers.
So when this particular business wants to expand in the future, the resourcing up of their engineers, for instance, and people to manage their IT would not be the same
Wouldn't be the same.
by being with Everest?
We had a commitment to them, actually. It was a unique offering,
Yep.
given the size and scale that they were at, where we said, during the life of the contract, buy as many businesses as you like.
Expand
And
as much as you want.
Expand as much as you like, and
Yep.
we'll still fix the cost.
So
there
a
was
fixed cost.
There was no cost increases, regardless of new services they offered or added to their existing business.
Yeah. And
So it was very compelling.
And you also have compelling solutions when it comes to disaster recovery for those solutions. I'm assuming these include live disaster recovery,
Yep.
hot disaster recovery
Yeah,
options, and so
there's
forth.
cold, warm, and hot, depending on. And it's not really what the client wants. Depends on what the application supports, the
Yeah.
type of database they have.
The redundancy they want.
Yeah. So there's some complexity there, but yeah, there's a great deal of flexibility.
Yeah. And in regards to that reduction in cost, some people would think, well, I also have the option of public cloud, but public cloud has the challenge, a very great challenge that people know about, which is data excess CPU usage and CPU usage when the servers have busy months. How does Everest handle the excess billing component of the public cloud space? How do they handle that if there's really busy months in cloud hosting? In other words,
we fix the price for the life of the contract. So
completely for the duration.
Completely. There's no data charges. There's no hidden charges whatsoever. It's a single
Fantastic.
fixed fee that does not change.
That's also very compelling.
Mm.
That also means that the only other concerns from a project implementation is how to solution design and project manage and deliver that project. How's that handled from a billing perspective to the client or the reseller that's involved with choosing Everest?
Generally speaking, there's no fee for us to
Mhm.
do that unless it's extremely complex. If it's a government client and there's a great deal of
Okay.
work involved, but generally speaking, we'll do the project and the migration at no charge.
So the implementation project is essentially complementary.
That's right.
I'm guessing that's within a particular fixed term.
It is. Yeah.
Okay, and that's 3 years.
3 to
from
5
the-
years.
3 to 5 years, yeah. That's a very compelling addition to the mix of value that Everest seems to provide compared to the market. Any other questions?
Good. Can you fix your shirt a little bit? It's just popping out a little bit.
Okay.
What would be really great is if you. Sorry.
I'll look the other way for a long time.
I think that conversation piece around the resourcing and
Fixed fee costs.
yeah, like you were talking about the IT department, but it was in the context of MSPs, which is awesome content for resellers.
Yeah.
But I think we need to, if we can redo that conversation again using client or
I think that was last one was a bit
Instead of-
client. There was only about capital, no MSP there.
yeah,
was
the resourcing though would be really good, I think,
Yes,
for
okay.
the
So the
IT department.
For the IT department, yeah.
Yeah.
The problem with that is it's a threat for the IT department. It's good, but it's
Oh.
procedures are, and you know what, funny in Australia,
Right.
it seems to be a threat. You know,
But
That's why I
think
didn't
that's-
it's a
mention-
benefit, but
No,
it's
no.
a threat as well.
I think.
Well, that's why I didn't
it
talk
can
about
be-
staff reduction. I didn't ask the question about staff reduction. I just,
We use the term staff reallocation or something like that.
Yeah, because what we could do in the context of that,
Yeah.
and tell me what do you think, is rather than talk about cost reduction, it's about being able to free up those resources to work on the things that really matter in the business. And that, you know, there isn't an IT department I've ever spoken to that has oodles of time on their hand. They're always wanting to be more proactive and to free up those resources instead of
I
being
think,
bogged down.
I think that's a good point.
I think it's a good one to address because it is a problem, and you know that's something we can. It's a video.
so how would you like me to ask that as an open question?
So I think
Am I making a
it
statement, asking a
started
question?
with- you were talking about Everest. You were talking about where you were.
I think I think the question would be, you know, what really is the direct benefit for customers who have existing IT?
We're talking end users now. Yep, end
Yeah.
users as
What-
opposed to
what's,
resellers.
you know, what's the benefit for
For clients.
for a client? Yeah. I think
Yeah, what's a key
Businesses,
benefit?
businesses we should say, because they're, yeah.
Businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your time frame, guys? It's 3:05. 12.
Yeah.
Michael, the electrician's calling me.
Do you need to answer?
Take it. I'm gonna have my coffee. Take it. We're good. We're good.
Change.
It sounds like the guy for your thing, right?
Yeah. I'm going to tell him that we're still filming, and
What do you reckon, Sharon? Another 10, 15?
Say what?
Another 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah. I reckon we just get a little snippet about the resourcing.
Michael,
the
hello, it's Nick.
resources.
I'm just still got about 15, 20 minutes of filming that I'm doing here, and then I'll be there. So it'll be 40 minutes, 45 minutes tops before I'm there.
Okay.
Because I can't, because I'm actually involved in the filming myself, so I can't leave because we've set this up for quite a while. We've been planning this.
Do you want to leave it for tomorrow afternoon? Because I'm already here now, and I'm just basically nothing going to be waiting for you. Yeah.
Don't make it go.
Yeah, or the difference is Sharon could come and let you in. She can leave now. She's Sharon is the one behind the camera, so to speak. But we don't need her as far as filming.
You trust her.
All right, yeah, well, yeah, I'm here now, that's all, yeah. I see your message an hour ago. Yeah, that tells you I'll be here at 12.
Yeah, you said 12:30, but I just got your message now. You said you were going to SMS me, so we were just being.
Well, I did at 11 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd be there at 12, at 11 o'clock, but
Well, she'll be there shortly. I mean,
Yeah, okay, I'll wait. If she's going to be in shortly, I'll wait.
yeah, Sharon. I can't do it tomorrow, Sharon. I've got an appointment tomorrow. So, okay.
I can do it tomorrow.
Okay. What time tomorrow can you do it, Michael?
More afternoon, like 1, 2 o'clock-ish.
1 or 2 o'clock. All right. Yep. I'll have to call you back, and because we're in the middle of filming now, so I can't.
Sorry, yeah, work it out tomorrow, yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Sorry guys, I'm running late. I've much of schedule.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. That's fine.
I think if we just do a little bit about the resourcing conversation,
Yeah. Sounds good.
and then we can talk about AI and the conference and that sort of thing.
Oh, RSNA. Yeah. How do you pronounce the Adelaide conference? ANZCA.
RANZCA,
RANZCA. Royal Australian
Royal Australia New Zealand
College
College of Radiology.
of Radiology. RANZCA. And the RSNA is the Chicago one.
Okay. So, Nick, can you, when you're ready, Scott?
Sorry.
No, you're right. I'm just going to move your coffee out. Ooh, jeez. Coffee out a bit.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, that works.
Sharon's getting ready for her exercise. I don't
Okay.
think that she does.
Is there something happening?
No, she goes to a EMS. It's called. They electrocute you. They plug you in, and they electrocute your muscles as you exercise,
Oh wow, is it
and it
good?
makes you sweat
Yeah.
more.
Feeling
It's really
good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to stop it soon and start going to like F45 or something.
No, you go there. Go with
Because I
Sharon.
feel like it's giving me
Go with
the
Sharon. Go
kind
with
of
Sharon.
boost that I needed to
Get going.
just get
Good
started.
boy, sit down.
Yeah. It's because it's pretty expensive by gym standards.
It's $50 a session.
Okay. But cheaper than PT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, Nick, if you could ask your question about
What customer?
Businesses.
Business
resourcing for
benefit.
businesses, yeah.
Yeah.
Say it again. Business benefits for
No.
Or what
Just
are the
business
key
benefit.
benefits? Yeah.
Key
the
benefits.
benefits of
For business.
for business of
Everest.
just Everest. Okay. All right. So Scott, what are the key benefits of Everest for businesses choosing to use Everest over other public cloud options?
Okay, so look, I think number one, and this is not a benefit, it's just a completely different change. So with a customer or with a business now, they have to have their own servers and they're responsible for managing them and keeping them patched and secure, and they have an IT company off that does it all. They'll have internal IT people, one of the two, and then every 3 or 5 years they'll replace them, and so fundamentally